Vermilion's Downtown Theater. Providing entertainment Thursdays through Sundays.
This evening on Coyote News, we'll hear the latest on USD's new Opportunity Center.
Plus, a look at how locals are responding to new legislation. Coyote News starts right now.
Live from the Al Newharth Media Center, this is Coyote News.
Good evening, I'm Sydney Funderman.
And I'm Philip Larson. We'll get to those stories and more, but first, Supreme Court Justice Stephen Breyer just announced today that he's retiring. Breyer, a longtime liberal justice, gives President Joe Biden his first high court opening, which he has pledged to fill with the historic naming of the court's first black woman. The January 1st deadline for universities to create opportunity centers has come and gone. Each state university has to come up with its own plan. Coyote News' Kyle Ireland has details on how USD is handling the change.
Due to the size and scope of its existing diversity office, USD administration had a difficult time creating a plan that would accommodate the concerns of students, faculty, and the Vermilion community. Over the winter break, USD removed all of the decorations and signage from its existing Center for Diversity and Community.
The physical space that once housed the Center for Diversity and Community will now be used as a general gathering space for student organizations, with the office spaces inside being able to be used on a checkout basis.
An office space across the hall will act as the physical location for the Opportunity Center. USD President Sheila Gestring says the Opportunity Center won't be just a physical space.
It's also a web presence where there are useful links for all the services that students are going to need. Could be anywhere from financial aid to registration. Perhaps they need to connect with a tutor or find the Math Emporium or any of the support services that we provide for our students.
Gestring hopes students will embrace the change.
I think the biggest thing is understand that the intentions here are to improve student services for students, and that's really the premise behind the Opportunity Center, is that every student, it should be easy for every student to find the help and support that they need.
Gestring says the university will continue to seek open communication from the campus community about what direction they want to see the Opportunity Center go. The Board of Regents ordered the creation of Opportunity Centers last year after receiving a letter from Governor Kristi Noem. In the letter, the governor asked the board to consider whether diversity offices were experiencing mission creep. Reporting for Coyote News, I'm Kyle Ireland.
Thanks, Kyle. In a recent social media post, Governor Kristi Noem's calling the Opportunity Centers good news, saying the previous Center for Diversity and Community promoted what she called a leftist agenda.
694 active cases of COVID-19 in Clay County today. That's according to the Department of Health. In Clay County, there are currently 694 active cases. There are 23 new probable cases with a 38.7 PCR test positivity rate within the last 7 days. Testing is available Monday through Friday in the Muck Hoy room from 10 to 2. Currently, there are 49 people quarantining on campus or at home, with 40 active cases here at USD. A proposed measure introduced by the governor is before the House Education Committee. House Bill 1012 would mandate a new teaching approach at high schools and universities. The governor's calling for protection of students against critical race theory. Here to discuss this live in the Muck is Kate Cromer. Kate?
Thanks, Sydney. I'm here with Associate Professor of Political Science, Dr. Michael Card. Thank you for being here, Michael.
Thank you.
Now, can you essentially explain to us what critical race theory is?
Well, critical race theory isn't defined in House Bill 1012 for one thing. Critical race theory is a theory based on looking at history and how the intersection of race, class, sex, and economic conditions as well as disability affect how history is recorded and how programs of the government actually work. It's a legal theory looking primarily at how the legal system has treated individuals differently.
The language of the bill essentially states that a South Dakota Board of Regents institution can't coerce a student into affirming that one race is superior to the other. Is this a problem here at USD in any classes that are offered?
Well, I don't know about any classes. I've not heard of any classes where one particular group of individuals is favored over another or declared superior or one declared inferior. For the most part, we deal with generally accepted theories and facts in society in our classes, and we certainly don't want to make any student feel bad. That isn't good for the educational process. We want to explore and encourage students to explore ideas and how those ideas might affect their lives, and to look critically at all things. One aspect of critical race theory, the supposed critical race theory, is that we're teaching a brand of history that disfavors American history as most of us have learned it. What some of us are doing is including some of the most positive and negative aspects of America. We have in our Declaration of Independence the idea that all people are created equal. And certainly we know that not all people are treated equally. So we're trying to explore what causes that treatment, what remedies there might be so that everyone has an equal opportunity.
Thank you for being here, Dr. Card. Live in the muck, I'm Kate Cromer.
Thanks, Kate.
A local Vermilion woman has been sentenced to 100 years in prison. Maria Antoinetta Milda, age 27, was charged with manslaughter for drowning her 14-month-old son in a bathtub in November of 2020. Milda confessed to the crime after walking to the Vermilion and Clay County Public Safety Center, where she requested help for her child, claiming he was not breathing. Milda, who was originally arrested on one count of murder, pled guilty but mentally ill, reducing the offense to first-degree manslaughter.
Coming up on Coyote News, an art exhibit honors a USD artist.
Plus, a local coffee shop opens a new edition. Stay with us.
The Student Government Association is a great way for students to actually impact on what happens to campus and make a meaningful change through legislation and SGA.
We have the tools and the technology. This tech tells stories. Tell yours. Participation in the Coyote TV Practicum is open to all full-time USD students. Join Coyote News today.
This is Coyote News.
USD's one stroke closer to a new pool. The State Senate Education Committee met yesterday to discuss Senate Bill 42. This bill authorizes the Board of Regents to contract for the design and construction of a competitive pool, as well as other necessary services related to it. This expansion includes a wellness pool, hot tub, steam room, and more locker rooms for people to use. Under the bill, the Board of Regents is appropriated $25 million of federal funding. The board is also allowed to use outside funding from donations and the USD Foundation. The bill was passed with a unanimous vote and will now be heard in the Joint Appropriations Committee.
A Senate bill that would bar transgender athletes from participating in athletics at the high school and collegiate level has made its way to the House. The bill, titled Protect Fairness in Women's Sports, has been amended to prevent any legal actions being taken against the institutions that uphold the bill. The measure passes just days after a march was held in support of transgender rights in Vermilion and across South Dakota. Coyote News' Marissa Brunkhorst was in downtown Vermilion Saturday.
To new legislative bills regarding transgender rights, the Transformation Project Advocacy Network in South Dakota held marches across the state in support of transgender people. One march was held in downtown Vermilion, where participants marched from the Platts on Main Street, ending at the Bean. Mike Phelan, a business owner, shared what the march means to him.
So this is about letting trans people around South Dakota know that they have the support of their community here in Vermillion, and letting our legislators know that we want them to oppose anti-trans legislation. We have many bills going through the legislative session this season, so we want them to work to oppose those bills.
Currently, a bill regarding trans athletes has been passed to the House, which will receive a do pass recommendation or will die in committee. For Coyote News, I'm Marissa Bronkhorst.
Kate Cromer is live in the muck with Mason Luddig, to discuss what this Senate bill means for transgender athletes. Kate?
Thanks, Phil. I'm here with USD grad student and unattached collegiate athlete Mason Luddig. Thank you for being here with us, Mason. Now, what would this bill mean if it's passed through the Senate?
The biggest issue with this bill passing as an open transgender athlete is accessibility to sports. And we are, in a sense, it adds to a lot of fear. People think that we're taking advantage of sports and that we're taking advantage of our ability to be in athletics. I'm not. I'm following all the compliance, all the rules and stuff like that, and I'm just trying to be an athlete and be comfortable in my own skin. With these athletes, or with these bills going into place, we have issues with trans women and even female athletes who produce higher testosterone levels being discriminated against, and honestly even masculine presenting women who are athletes being targeted for these lawsuits. I think that's like my biggest issue with it is before I came out as trans, I was seen as a very masculine woman, and I had to be birth checked throughout most of my college career. And so that made it an issue for anytime I did something well, I was assumed that I was a man. And so that takes away from what I did as a college athlete and all the work that I've done and taken care of. And so with that, these women are subject to this, whether they're cis or whether they're cis or transgender women. This is a major issue. And so me speaking out and being an out trans athlete has given me the opportunity to lessen that fear that people have, because we're just human. We're just other kids just trying to compete in sports. So.
What do you have to say to other kids that might be living in fear of this bill?
Just keep fighting. There are people like myself and other trans athletes that are open and out now because we've had people that have trailblazed the situation and have continued to fight these bills over and over and over again to protect us. There are coaches out there and there are teammates out there that believe that we can compete, and we are just as much athletes and teammates and family as anybody else is, and that just keep going. Like it's going to be okay. It seems really dark and scary right now, but just keep fighting.
Mason, thank you so much for being here. Live in the muck, I'm Kate Cromer.
Thanks, Kate. Again, the bill has to move through the House and the governor's office before passing.
A local coffee shop downtown is using the pandemic as a reason to expand, creating more space for customers. The Bean opened a new upstairs area, adding a second floor to their shop. What used to be an apartment is now additional seating and a space where customers can drink their coffee. COVID-19 put the business plans in motion. The owners Martin Prendergast and Leslie Garish chose to spread out tables for social distancing. To avoid limited seating, they added tables upstairs. Prendergast says he thinks this addition has grown their business.
I think it does. I think more people get to come down here and they get to spend more time, and rather than like sort of crowding in or whatever, they feel more comfortable, relaxed, and it's kind of quiet up there so they can study.
Prendergast says he and his business partner have been thinking about the addition since 2018. The Bean plans on adding local artist artwork to decorate the upstairs space. The space is available to rent for meetings or parties.
A USD artist was chosen as the 2021 Northern Plains Indian Artist in Residence. Over the past month, the John A. Day Gallery showcased artist Reina Hernandez's exhibition titled How to Open a Body to the Stars. Hernandez, a member of the Yankton Sioux tribe, calls her work a response to a history of systemic indigenous erasure, as well as contemporary indigenous life and expression. A closing ceremony was held to celebrate Hernandez's work, with USD's native drum group performing an honor song to close the exhibit. The gallery's next show will be featuring art from the Stillwell Student Art Show. One student has just become the fastest woman ever at USD.
That's right, Phil. When we return, we'll have a live interview with her and a recap of last week's basketball games. We'll return after the break for your Coyote Sports. Stay with us.
In the United States, approximately 6.3 million animals enter shelters every year. Of those, only 3.2 million will be adopted, and over 920,000 will be euthanized. Help put a stop to animal homelessness, save a life, and rescue your next best friend.
My favorite part about the CDC is like the community aspect.
All the events have really good food and like activities and things that you just learn new things about.
This is Coyote News.
This is Coyote Sports. I'm Michael Stake.
And I'm Hannah Gokenauer. The Coyote women's basketball team extended their winning streak, and we have details. The women's basketball team entered their first run through the Summit League, scheduled 9-0 after winning both of their games last week inside the SCSC. On Thursday, the Coyote hosted the Western Illinois Leathernecks, and after a slow start, USD found themselves behind a halftime for the first time in Summit League play this year. The Yotes wasted no time in the third quarter as they went on a 16-0 run lasting 6 minutes. That run helped set up the Coyotes for the 70-53 point win. On Saturday, the Coyotes welcomed conference newcomer St. Thomas inside the SCSC for the first time. The Tommies extended the first quarter on top but went on the wrong side of a 26-point Coyote run, which led to a 70-43 USD victory. 3 Coyotes extended the weekend, scoring double digits in both games: Liv Korngable, Chloe Lamb, and Maddie Kroll. The team will cross the South Dakota border to take on NDSU tomorrow and UND this Saturday.
After their Thursday night game in Macomb, Illinois got canceled, the Yotes headed to Minneapolis to take on St. Thomas Tommies. The men's basketball team spent 32 hours on the road and traveled over 1,700 miles. The two teams traded points back and forth, sending the teams into the locker room tied at 43. With less than 9 minutes to go, the Coyotes took the lead and they didn't look back as USD came out on top 90-79. On Monday, the Coyotes made their way back to Macomb to make up for their game scheduled for Thursday. USD saw 5 players end the night in double digits. A nail-biting Damani Hayes free throw forced the Leathernecks to attempt a three-pointer to force overtime as time expired. But the shot was no good, extending the Coyotes' win streak to 5. The men's basketball team will be back in Vermilion on Thursday to host North Dakota State at 7. On Saturday, the USD track and field team was in Brookings for the Jim Emmerich Invitational. The women's team finished on top of an 8-team field with 198.5 points, which was 50 points more than second place NDSU. The men's team ended the day with 125 points, which was good enough for third place. The Coyotes won 10 of the 32 combined events between the men's and women's teams. Erin Kinney and Holly Gerberding each won 2 different events for the Yotes as Kinney took home the women's 60 and 200 meter races, breaking the USD 60 meter program record, and Gerberding finished on top of the long jump and 600 meter leaderboard. USD pole vaulters put their name at the top of the standings, with the Coyotes finishing 1st through 6th. In the women's division and the men's side saw freshman Spencer Bewley and the day through 3 on the podium. The track and field team will be back in Saturday in the rink in Nebraska for Adidas Classic.
Landon DeBoer is live in the muck with Erin Kinney to discuss her milestone run. Landon?
Thanks, Hannah. I'm here with Erin Kinney, the fastest woman in Coyote history. I was wondering how you plan on building off of your recent success, Erin.
I just kind of go into my races with the mindset that I can beat my PR, and I think going forward, I just want to train hard and hopefully lower my record.
And how does your preparation differ from, say, the 60 meter to the 200 meter events?
So the 60 is mainly block start, so I've been working a lot of technique with my coaches, and I think going forward, I need to work more endurance for the 2 and more technique for the 60.
And is there any pregame rituals that you have to get ready for meets, or any extra mental preparation you do before meets?
Before meets, I just kind of like to warm up by myself and not really think about things and just try to keep my nerves very low.
Well, thank you for being here, Erin.
Thank you.
Live in the muck for Coyote News, I'm Landon DeBoer.
Thanks, Landon. The swimming teams had a pair of Summit League duels last weekend versus Omaha and SDSU. The men's and women's teams both won each of their duels, keeping both their records at a perfect 3-0 versus conference opponents in head-to-head meets. The men's team won 24 of the 29 events they competed in over the weekend, while the women ended on top in 23 of their events. The swim teams broke a total of 8 school records between the duels, along with 3 Dakota Dome pool records as well. The team will host the Coyote Invite in Sioux Falls at the Midco Aquatic Center this Friday and Saturday. That's all for your Coyote sports.
Coming up on Coyote News, students told us about their favorite TV shows.
My favorite thing about the International Club is the different events they hold within the school year. My particular favorite is definitely Festival of Nations. Peace out. Except for you. Wait,
This is Coyote News.
Some students don't have time to watch TV. Others binge entire seasons in one night.
In this week's Out and About, we asked students what their favorite TV show is right now.
Here's what they had to say.
Gossip Girl, because I started watching it, and it is amazingly terrible.
Reno 911. It's like a real funny, just comedic cop show.
It's Emily in Paris season 2 because I started watching the show kind of as a joke and now I'm fully invested.
Probably The Office, just really funny.
I'd say Parks and Recreation. It's just so funny, I love it. Just my kind of humor.
My favorite TV show is almost always Gilmore Girls because it's my comfort show and it basically got me through high school.
Euphoria. I just think it's a really good show.
I don't really watch TV, so I don't really have a good answer to that. But the last movie I saw was the recent Spider-Man movie, so that was definitely a good one.
Euphoria. It's very deep and there's a lot of art and emotion into it.
I like On My Block just because I like it.
I've been watching The Witcher. I started watching that over a great Christmas break, and I haven't finished it yet because I'm procrastinating because I don't want to finish it.
Well, I don't have a current show I'm watching right now, but if I had to give a top 3, it'd go Breaking Bad, Lost, and we'll go with Black Mirror.
You know, Phil, I would have to say you can never go wrong with an episode of Friends or New Girl.
A person ordering through DoorDash received an unexpected dasher at their door yesterday. A Sioux Falls police officer dropped off the order after the original DoorDash driver was arrested for what the officer called stuff the DoorDash driver didn't take care of. A woman caught the cop delivering her food on her home security camera and was surprised to find an officer delivering her food. We can forgive her for being a Jackrabbits fan.
Be sure to pick up this week's edition of The Volant to read about the new director of the National Music Museum.
And be sure to tune in to 91.1 KAOR for coverage of tomorrow's men's basketball game.
Follow our social media pages to keep up with our news team as they cover the legislative session in Pierre this week.
That's all for Coyote News. Thank you and have a good night.